We have David Benavidez versus Anthony Yard. We have Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney. We have Jesse Bam Rodriguez versus Fernando Puma Martinez. Subaru Matias versus Dalton Smith. And then to top all that off, we now have Artur Beterbiev with his trilogy against Dmitry Bivol. Hold on. That ain't Bivol. Where on earth is Bivol? Where is Dmitry Bivol? Dmitry Bivol. Where on earth can he be? Tell me where is Dmitry Bivol?
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? Welcome back to your favorite boxing news channel, Dr. Boxing Talk, and we are back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, man. Remember what time it is? The doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. But before we get to it, let's do what we always do, and let's do it together. Let's smack that like button. I appreciate it. That really helps us to keep going and growing on this YouTube platform. And it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. You see what I'm saying? And it's free. So I appreciate y'all. But let's get right to it now. So we have Artur Beterbiev making a return. But it's not for the rubber match or the trilogy against Dmitry Bivol, right? It's against another opponent who is relatively unknown, and that is the American contender, Deon Nicholson.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that? You know damn well who I am. Who the fuck is that?
Now, Deon Nicholson, I know people are going to be very disappointed, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not too mad at this. You know, Deon Nicholson does have one loss, you know. I think he's 22-0. He has one loss, and that's to the now cruiserweight Efe Tabor Apochi, you know, the Nigerian contender who had a war with C4 Clark the other day, right? That was a good fight. But yeah, that's his only loss. That's not too shabby of a loss. I know, like I said, I know we're disappointed because it's not Dmitry Bivol. I'm definitely disappointed in that. Like I said, I want to know where Dmitry Bivol's at. I want to hear from Dmitry Bivol or even Artur Beterbiev on why this fight's not happening next. I need to hear from them. But the optics it does like he's ducking. You know what I'm saying? It does like he's he's missing in action and he doesn't want to have the fight. But I want to caution everybody before we make that assessment, right? As far as trilogies go, even if the trilogy is next year, that's still a pretty quick turnaround. You know what I'm saying? For two people to fight 3 times in 2 years, that's pretty good. Like I said before in other videos, Cinnamon versus Triple G took 5 years. Damn. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury took 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So even if it's a 2-year timeline, that's still pretty quickly. But let's talk about Deon Nicholson, right? The American contender. He's a former stablemate of Deontay Wilder. He might still be a stablemate of Deontay Wilder. Last time I saw him was actually on the Deontay Wilder card when he just fought on BOK Prime against Tyrell Herndon, right? Yeah, Deon Nicholson fought on that. And he also has some other opponents that I recognize. I believe Quentin Rankin, you know, who shared the ring with Chad Dawson and David Morrell. Of course, he came on the short end of the stick, but he did share the ring with a former champion and an interim champion in David Morrell. And the former champion I was referring to was Chad Dawson, right? And then he even fought what's the guy's name? Craig Baker, you know, the Black Cat or El Gato Negro. You know what I'm saying? So these are pretty recognizable names for a boxing purist, but they don't have high profiles, right? So there's nothing really to say that you would recognize Deon Nicholson elsewhere unless you just caught him on somebody else's card and you just remember his name. You know, I'm pretty good with names and stuff like that, and I watch a lot of boxing, but no, there's no shame in don't feel bad if you don't recognize it. But I want to tell you this though as well. You got to keep in mind that if you remember, there was a gap between when Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev were supposed to fight the first time. Remember, Beterbiev injured his knee, toward his meniscus to be specific, right? But we had somebody step up in Beterbiev's stead, right? Someone replaced him, and that was Malik Zanad. Dmitry Bivol fought him, and he was a current undefeated contender, Malik Zanad. You know, he was relatively unknown again, but Dmitry Bivol did fight a guy that was decent as far as record goes, right? Like say undefeated Malik Zanad, and he got him out of there quickly. No offense to the American contender Deon Nicholson, but I do think the Russian current resident of Canada, Artur Beterbiev, former undisputed champion, I do think that he's gonna make, I don't want to say short work of Deon Nicholson, but I think he's gonna beat him, and I do think it'll be similar to like a Malik Zanad type of fight where they're almost like a placeholder. I say that with the utmost respect. I'm not being disrespectful, but you know, Beterbiev and Bivol, let's admit they're on other levels than like let's say a Deon Nicholson or a Malik Zanad. So I do think that the Bivol Beterbiev trilogy will happen. If you want to say he's aging him out, that's up to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's really that long of a time span. It's just that we're accustomed with the social media age and the way that we live now. Some of us are spoiled, so we want everything now. And if it doesn't happen now, then we accuse somebody of ducking. I don't know what Dmitry Bivol's problem is. Maybe he's delaying it because he's injured, similar to what Beterbiev did before and multiple times throughout his career.
Yeah.
Maybe he is trying to age him out. But I mean, if a trilogy happens in a year and a half or 2 years, that's not really aging him out to me. I mean, Beterbiev's already old. He was old when he turned pro. You know, that's just how the cookie crumbles as far as his career goes. So I don't think Bivol's trying to get an ageism type of advantage, but maybe he is. You know what I'm saying? If you want to say that, that's up to you. You know, I know it does look bad, but I'm going to wait until I hear from a representative of Team Bivol or Dmitry Bivol himself or Beterbiev. I know Beterbiev came out with that long Instagram post, that very loquacious Instagram post. I'm talking about he was talking, and he was just saying that Dmitry Bivol was dragging his feet with the trilogy. But you got to remember too that they were gonna have the trilogy with Turkey Al Sheikh, but then they requested that they have the trilogy in Russia, in which Big Turk granted that request. He obliged and said, okay, y'all go ahead and have it there, and then it fell apart. Since then, you know, subsequently it fell apart. So I don't know exactly the ins and outs, so I'm not going to pretend like I know. But I will say this. From the looks of it, the optics, it looks like Dmitry Bivol is doing bad things. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but he could be injured. You know, a lot of us, we see him leaning on the Tower of Pisa and going out there traveling and vacation. So we think that he's doing something like trying to stall him out, but it could be that he's injured and he's recovering and he's just traveling while he's injured and while recovering. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see how it goes, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. I'm gonna be honest, this card is fantastic, but I will also maintain that I'm not sure if all these fights happening. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure if all these fights are going to happen. I still have my doubts about Brian Norman Jr. versus Devin Haney. Not blaming either party, but I just think that it's just been too loud. You know what I'm saying? When something's too loud, there's so much noise, I kind of get a little skeptical, you know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't be surprised if that fight doesn't happen. Like I said, I'm not blaming either party. I'm just not convinced yet. And, you know, Dalton Smith and Subaru Matias, I'm not sure that fight happens either. Those are my two doubts as far as the fight's not happening or being a little shaky. You know what I'm saying? Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Am I tripping? And if the fight does happen, do you think Deon Nicholson has a chance against Beterbiev? Y'all let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. Don't forget to smack that like button. But most importantly, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. Have a good day, man. Be blessed.
Where is Dmitry Bivol? Dmitry Bivol, where on earth can he tell me where is Dmitry Bivol?
From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.